Good day, everyone. My name is James Daryl Di Varela, and today we're gonna be discussing my report in our subject Comparative Politics and Governance, which is all about the South America or the South American region. And first of all, I will just give some short introduction about the region of South America. South America is the fourth largest of the world's continents. It is the southern portion of the landmass, generally referred to as the New World, or the Western Hemisphere, or simply the Americas. The continent is compact and roughly triangular in shape, being broad in the north, tapering to a point, Cape Horn, Chile in the south. But in our discussion today, we are just focusing in the five countries that I have chosen, which is the Brazil, Peru, Colombia, Uruguay, and Chile. Without further ado, let's start in the country of Chile and discuss what's in this politics and governance and its constitutional framework of this country, Brazil. Brazil is a country of South America that occupies half of the continent's landmass. It is the fifth largest country in the world, exceeded in size only by Russia, Canada, China, and the United States, though its area is greater than that of the 48 conterminous U.S. states. Brazil is the fifth most populous country on Earth and accounts for one-third of Latin America's population. Most of the inhabitants of Brazil are concentrated along the eastern seaboard, although its capital, Brasilia, is located far inland. An increasing number of migrants are moving to the interior. Rio de Janeiro, in the eyes of the many of the world, continues to be the preeminent icon of Brazil. And that is true, because when we see the Rio de Janeiro somehow like statue, we could always say in our mind that it is Brazil. And now let's move on to the constitutional framework of the country of Brazil. Brazil is a federal republic with 26 states and the federal district, containing the capital, Brasilia. Universal suffrage has been in place since 1934. And the current constitution, enacted in 1988, abolished remnants of the military regime and defined civil rights and outlined the functions of the executive, legislative, and judicial branches. In the legislature aspect of the Brazil is that the bicameral National Congress comprises the Chamber of Deputies and the Federal Senate, which means the Chamber of Deputies is elected every 4 years based on the state population, with a limit of 70 representatives per state. And the federal states consist of 3 representatives from each state and the federal district serving 8-year terms. So, the National Congress is comprised by the Chamber of Deputies and the Federal Senate. And also, they are elected every 4 years basing on their state population, with the 70 representatives limitation per state. And also the Federal Senate Congress representatives has also as 8-year terms each. And now in the executive aspect of the Brazil is the president is directly elected for a 4-year term, holds the executive power. The president appoints a cabinet and heads ministerial level departments, meaning to say the president is the one who appoints the cabinets. And now we are finished. We are done in the constitutional framework of Brazil. Let's head on to the next country, which is the Peru. Peru is a country in western South America, and except for the Lake Titicaca based in the southeast, Its borders lie in sparsely populated zones. The boundaries with Colombia to the northeast and Brazil to the east traverse lower ranges of tropical forests, whereas the borders with Bolivia to the southeast, Chile to the south, and Ecuador to the northwest run across the high Andes. The name Peru is derived from a Quechua word implying land of abundance, a reference to the economic wealth produced by the rich and highly organized Inca civilization that ruled the region for centuries. And now let's head on to the framework of a constitutional framework of Peru. First, Peru has a history marked by numerous military coups and constitutional changes. And also, Peru has a presidential democratic system. In 1993, the Peruvian Constitution establishes a government led by a president elected to a 5-year term. So, in the country of Peru, the president has only a 5-year term, and the president serves as both the chief of state and the head of the government. Re-election is permitted, but consecutive terms are prohibited. Meaning to say, the president can run again for his position, but continuous terms are prohibited. The president appoints and presides over their cabinet, but he is assisted by a prime minister and 2 vice presidents. So, they have 2 vice presidents in the country of Peru. Next is the judiciary, comprises the Supreme Court and lower courts and tribunals. The Supreme Court has nationwide jurisdiction and hears appeals from lower court decisions. It also investigates the conduct of lower court judges. The Constitution of Peru has undergone several amendments since its adaptation in 1993. Legislature aspect, legislative authority resides in the unicameral Congress of the Republic. And lastly is the members of Congress are elected by popular vote for 5-year terms. Meaning to say, members or the elected members of the Congress only have 5-year terms. And now we are done in Peru. Next is the country of Uruguay. Uruguay, country located on the southeastern coast of South America, the second smallest country of the continent of South America, and Uruguay has long been overshadowed politically and economically by the adjacent republics of Brazil and Argentina, with both of which it has many cultural and historical similarities. This combination of open space and low population density has offered Uruguay many opportunities for economic development. An independent country since 1828, with strong ties with United Kingdom, France, Italy, Uruguay developed throughout much of the 20th century as one of the Latin America's more progressive societies and notable for its political stability, advanced social legislation, and relatively large middle class. So, Uruguay is notable for its progressive society and political stability, and also the large middle class population. And now let's head on to the constitutional framework of Uruguay. In Uruguay, the government operates under the 1966 Constitution, which was amended after the period of military rule in 1973 to 1985, and amendments in 1996 separated municipal and national elections and altered the balloting system for presidential elections. In the executive aspect of the constitutional framework of Uruguay is that executive power is vested in a president and a council of ministers, and a vice president serves as the head of the bicameral legislature. So the bicameral legislature, or the legislative aspect, is headed by the vice president. And in the event of no candidate receiving a majority vote in a presidential election, a runoff election or a ballotage is held between the top two candidates. In the legislative aspect, the General Assembly consists of 31 member, which belongs to the Senate, and the 99 members of the Chambers of Representatives. And lastly, the members of both chambers are elected to 5-year terms through direct popular vote. Next country is the Colombia. Colombia, country of the northwestern South America. Its 1,000 miles of coast to the north are bathed by the waters of the Caribbean Sea. So this country is near the Caribbean Sea, and its 80 miles coast to the west are washed by the Pacific Ocean. The only American nation that is named for Christopher Columbus, the discoverer of the New World, Colombia presents a remarkable study in contrasts in both geography and its society. So, the country Colombia was named after the discoverer Christopher Columbus. Next is the constitutional framework of Colombia. Its political landscape is dominated by the liberals and conservatives, with intermittent coalition government in 1957 and 1974. And in 1991, the adoption of Colombian Constitution established the republic with powers divided among executive, legislative, and judicial branches. In the executive aspect is that president elected for up to 2 consecutive 4-year terms, aided by a ministerial cabinet. Meaning to say that president in Colombia can have up to 2 consecutive terms with a 4-year expiration. Legislative aspect of Colombia is that it has a bicameral system comprising the Senate and House of Representatives, with members serving 4-year terms, and House members elected by districts, while most Senate members elected by nationwide constituency, with 2 representing indigenous communities. And Colombia has administrative divisions, which is Colombia divided into 32 departments and the Bogota Capital District, each with elected governors and legislatures. Departments further divided into municipalities led by elected mayors. So, Colombia's divisions are divided into 32 departments with governors and legislators in each divisions. And also, their municipalities are led by the mayors. Suffrage and civil rights. Universal suffrage for citizens aged 18 and older are guaranteed by civil rights like the right to strike, assemble, and petition, along with freedom of the press. And that explains the right of the citizens in the Colombia, which are 18 years and above. And Colombia has military service. All male citizens aged 18 to 30s are subjected to potential military service. That's the constitutional framework of Colombia. And lastly, we are gonna be discussing about the country of the Chile. Chile is situated along the western seaboard of South America, and it extends approximately 2,700 miles from its boundary with Peru, at latitude with 17 degrees, and to the tip of the South America at Cape Horn, a point only about 400 miles north of Antarctica. The constitutional framework of Chile is its historical overview is Chile inaugurated in 1921, which has a history of representative democracy with few exceptions. From 1973 to 1990, a military junta led by a General Augusto Pinochet Ugarte governed Chile under authoritarian rule. And now, in the constitutional framework of Chile, Chile is governed by the 1981 Constitution, and it is approved by a plebiscite called by General Pinochet, replacing the 1925 Constitution. And in Chile, the president holds administrative authority, with Pinochet permitted to remain in office until in 1990 only. And in 2004, a constitutional amendment was done and reduced the presidential term to 4 years and eliminated lifetime senatorial seats. In the legislative branch of Chile is that the bicameral National Congress was dissolved in 1973 and reestablished in 1989, and now consisting of the Senado, which is the upper chamber, and the Cámara de Diputados, which serve as the lower chamber and elected by direct popular vote. In the judiciary of Chile is that justices and prosecutors of Supreme Court and Court of Appeals are appointed by the President from nominees proposed by the Supreme Court. And lastly, the judges are career officials of the Ministry of Justice, with similar determinations for lower courts. And now we are done with the discussion of the 5 countries' different constitutional frameworks. Then before we are gonna end our discussion today, I will just give you some sort of paragraph regarding to our subject. And according to University of Bergen, an education in comparative politics enable the students to find the relevant documents and data to write credible analysis and accounts of the important questions in political science. The methodology training at the department enables students to ask relevant questions and perform sophisticated analysis to find answers to those questions. And somehow that's the essence of comparative politics and governance. And that's all for my report in the group 7. Thank you.